Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my match reaction from Manchester United's game against Norwich City. Manchester United have just beaten Norwich City 1-0 at Carrow Road. It was a poor performance by Manchester United. The goal came from a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty. Ronaldo was brought down by Max Aarons. Max Aarons had his arm on Ronaldo's shoulder. I think it was the correct decision to give the penalty. Some people may disagree with me. Towards the end of the game, Ronaldo had a chance from close range, put it over the bar, and he also had a chance in the first half that produced a good save from Tim Krul. But I thought Ronaldo's overall performance today was poor. You know, he looked sluggish when he had the ball, and he also got dispossessed a lot. Ronaldo now has 13 goals in all competitions for Man United since he re-signed. And Ronaldo now has 802 goals in his career. Ronaldo obviously played last weekend against Crystal Palace. He had chances in that game, but unfortunately he couldn't convert them. In the 3-2 win against Arsenal the other week, Ronaldo got a brace in that game, including the winner from the penalty spot. Ronaldo has got a contract with Man United until 2023. There's an option of a further year. Ronaldo receives £480,000 a week, so he's the highest earner at Man United. Ronaldo wears the number 7 shirt, and Man United got Ronaldo for around 19.8 million with add-ons included. Ronaldo's won over 30 trophies in his playing career, including 5 Ballon d'Ors. Alex Telles, I thought he endured a poor game today. He did have a good chance though in the game. You know, Telles hit the crossbar from the free kick. He got a deflection off the wall to obviously hit the crossbar. Telles played well last week against Crystal Palace. He also played well in the 3-2 win against Arsenal. You know, I thought he played well in the 1-1 draw against Chelsea. I think Telles could leave Manchester United next year. Revert back to earlier on this season, Telles had an injury. The reason Manchester United brought Telles in was to provide competition for Luke Shaw. Manchester United got Telles for around 15.4 million from Porto last year. Harry Maguire, he had a good opportunity in the first half from that header. It produced a good save from Tim Krul. Delors, I thought he was poor today. Delors was lucky not to be booked in the first half for that challenge on Josh Sargent. And Delors made some mistakes at the back. Obviously, we had to start Delors today against Norwich because Bissaka is not available. Bissaka went off injured in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys. We revert back to Delors. I thought Delors played well in the games against Crystal Palace and Arsenal. There's a good chance that Man United will offload Delors next year. You know, last season Delors had a loan spell with AC Milan. Reflecting on that, he gained some experience. Man United got Delors from Porto for around £19 million. David De Gea, he got named man of the match today. David De Gea made some good saves in the game to deny Teemu Pukki. And he also denied Kabak twice. Obviously, Kabak had 2 good headed chances for Norwich. I've got to give De Gea a lot of credit. You know, he has done really, really well this season. Obviously, De Gea was in goal for the game against Crystal Palace last week. He had very little to do in that game, you know. He was only called into action from long-range efforts against Crystal Palace. You know, De Gea is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. You know, this season is his 11th season at Man United, so he has been a long servant. He's been with us since the Ferguson era. You know, De Gea has got under 2 years left on his contract, and De Gea receives £375,000 a week. De Gea has won everything domestically at the football club, and he's made over 500 appearances for Man United in all competitions. Revert back to last summer. You know, De Gea reclaimed the number 1 spot back as he decided to cut short his holiday by 2 weeks to fight for the starting place. And De Gea did say, you know, he was determined to fight for his Man United future. When De Gea eventually leaves Man United, I think he will go back to Spain because obviously, you know, De Gea was born in Spain. His relatives are from Spain, girlfriend's from Spain. You know, he began his footballing career in Spain, so they are the reasons why. Victor Lindelof, he went off injured in the game. Obviously, Eric Bailly come on to replace him. Marcus Rashford, I thought he was very poor today. You know, he got dispossessed far too many times, especially in that first half. These aspects of Rashford's game that's got to improve. You know, Rashford's had quite a few poor games recently. You know, he was poor today. He was poor against Crystal Palace last weekend. I don't think he was that good in the 3-2 win against Arsenal, even though he did get an assist in that game. He was poor in the first half in the 1-1 draw with Chelsea, but he did quite well in the second half. At one point, Rashford was out with a shoulder injury for a while. And at one point, he had to have an operation on his shoulder. Rashford has been part of the club for a long time. He's been a United player since the age of 7, and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. Rashford's got a contract with Man United until 2023. Bruno Fernandes, he was also very, very poor today. You know, caught in possession far too many times. I do recall Fernandes having a chance in the game. I think it did hit the side netting. Fernandes was far superior last season to how he has been so far this season. I think the last assist Bruno Fernandes got was the 3-0 win against Tottenham earlier on in the season. Fernandes obviously played against Crystal Palace last weekend. He had chances in that game, but couldn't convert them, just like Ronaldo couldn't convert them in that game. Fernandes did alright in the 3-2 win against Arsenal, because of course he scored in that game. I'm sure as, the season goes on, Fernandes, will regain his form. Fernandes, despite his poor performances, he's still one of the best players Man United have got, and he's one of the best signings we've made since Ferguson retired. Fernandes has been a Manchester United player for almost 2 years. We got Fernandes from Sporting Lisbon back in January 2020. Mason Greenwood, he didn't start the game today, but he did come on to replace, Jadon Sancho. Donny van de Beek also came on in the game. In the first half, Grant Hanley went off injured for Norwich. He was involved in a challenge with Cristiano Ronaldo. So Norwich losing Grant Hanley in the first half was a massive blow for them. But you know what? I've got to give Norwich a lot of credit. I thought they played very, very well today. I thought Norwich had some very good chances in the game. They created more chances than Manchester United. I thought Norwich, defended well. I thought they kept the ball well. They passed the ball well. I've got to make an admission. I think Norwich deserved at least a point today. Let's put into the equation as well, Norwich were missing players. Obviously, Brandon Williams didn't play any part today, because obviously he couldn't play against his parent and club. Brandon Williams is on loan at Norwich from Manchester United. Obviously, there was no Zimmerman today because he's out with injury. There was no Norman, he's out with injury. And there was no Milot Rashica because he's out with injury. I think today's game was Norwich's second loss under Dean Smith. Obviously, last week Norwich lost 3-0 to Tottenham. Norwich appointed Dean Smith in earlier on this season on a 2.5-year contract. Earlier on in the season, Dean Smith was sacked by Aston Villa. Obviously, before Dean Smith, Norwich had Daniel Farke. Manchester United beat Norwich in the FA Cup last year 2-1 after extra time. The last time Norwich beat Manchester United at Carrow Road was back in 2012. But reflecting on the win today, it's 2 wins out of 2 in the Premier League for Ralph Rangnick. Rangnick has won his first Premier League away game as Manchester United manager. I presume Rangnick would not have been happy with today's performance, but obviously he will be happy with the result. Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then after that, Rangnick will continue in a consultancy role for a further 2 years. If Rangnick does well as the interim manager, there's a chance that Rangnick will get the Man United job on a permanent basis. Rangnick needs to heavily invest in January if he is to succeed as Manchester United manager. As you all know, Rangnick has been given a £100 million transfer budget for January. So, yeah, he can get quite a few players out of that. Revert back to what I said yesterday. Ralph Rangnick has a midfield plan at Manchester United. Calvin Phillips, Jude Bellingham and Amadou Haidara are key targets for Rangnick. Don't forget, Rangnick told bosses at Manchester United that their midfield is weak in his interview for the job. Before Manchester United, Rangnick was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. Obviously, Rangnick plays the 4-2-2 formation. He went with that formation today. Also went with that formation against Crystal Palace last weekend. Manchester United's next game is Brentford on Tuesday. That's going to be a difficult game because Brentford have enjoyed a good season so far. I've been very, very impressed with them. So Manchester United need to put a much better performance out against Brentford than they did today. I can assure at the end of the season that Manchester United will get a permanent manager. Quite a few names have been mentioned. As you all know, Erik ten Hag has been linked with the permanent role at Man United. Revert back to earlier on this season, it said Erik ten Hag is said to be interested in the Man United job in the summer, and Ajax will not stand in his way if he wants to leave at the end of the season. Recently, Edwin van der Sar spoke about Manchester United's interest in Erik ten Hag. And Edwin van der Sar believes that Ajax may lose Erik ten Hag in the summer. Recently, it said Edwin van der Sar expects a future role at Manchester United. I'd love to see Edwin van der Sar come back to the club. Van der Sar is a former Man United goalkeeper. He endured 6 years as a goalkeeper for Man United. Obviously, Edwin van der Sar is now the CEO at Ajax. Well, he's been the CEO at Ajax since 2016. Revert back to the other week, Roberto Mancini was also mentioned. One report said that Manchester United consider hiring Roberto Mancini instead of Mauricio Pochettino, but recently it said Roberto Mancini denied becoming Manchester United's next permanent manager. Pochettino, I still believe that he is the favourite to become Manchester United's next permanent manager. And revert back to earlier on in the season, Brendan Rodgers was also mentioned. Manchester United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. Man United sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Then obviously Man United sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years or so, despite Man United winning the FA Cup under him. Then Man United sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season as United manager because he won 3 trophies in his first season. And almost 3 weeks ago now, Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer following that 4-1 defeat to Watford. Manchester United have still got some injuries. Martial recently picked up an injury. Martial doesn't really get in the team anyway. Bissaka is obviously out with injury at the moment. Varane, he's still out with a hamstring injury. I think Varane could be back for the game against Brighton next weekend. Pogba, he's out with a thigh injury. Pogba's out for the rest of the year. I think Pogba's back in late January. Pogba suffered the thigh injury in France training earlier on this season. Cavani's still out as well. Cavani could be back for the Brentford or the Brighton game. And that's it. They're the injuries Man United have got. Obviously, Lindelof picked up an injury today as well. Don't know how severe it is. Matic is obviously out with a cold. Manchester United are going to offload players next year. Martial, you know the news on him recently. Martial's agent confirmed that Anthony Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January. Obviously, because Martial wants more game time, he's getting nowhere near enough game time at Manchester United. Martial has only started 2 games in the league this season. Martial's no longer good enough to represent the club. You know, Martial's only enjoyed 1 good season at Man United. That was his debut season under Louis van Gaal era. Martial's been a Manchester United player for 6.5 years. He's scored 79 goals in 268 games in all competitions. Martial has got 3 years left on his contract. Man United paid an initial fee of 36 million for Martial, rising up to around 57-58 million with add-ons included. Cavani, I think he's also leaving next year. Cavani's interested in making a move to Barcelona. It recently said Barcelona are keen on signing Edison Cavani in January, but only for a modest price. Cavani's contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to May, Cavani signed a 1-year contract extension. Like I said, Cavani's out of injury at the moment. He had an injury earlier on this season. Man United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG, and this season is Cavani's 2nd full season at Man United. Cavani did initially lose his place in the team, with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. Jesse Lingard, I think he's also leaving the club next year. I'm hearing that Newcastle want Lingard, and I heard that Newcastle are preparing a contract offer for Lingard. Revert back to earlier on in the season, it said West Ham want to re-sign Lingard. Well, revert back to the second half of last season. Lingard enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact. I heard earlier on this season that Lingard wants to go abroad. Lingard doesn't really get in the team. He's only made 2 starts this season. He did start midweek in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys. The BBC said earlier on this season that Lingard's future at Man United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. Lingard's contract at Man United expires next summer. But if we sell Lingard in January, I reckon we can get around £10 million for him. Yes, we can. Lingard's been part of the club for a long time, you know, risen up our academy and that. You know, he's had his good periods at Man United, he's had his bad periods as well. Juan Mata, I think he's also leaving the club next year. Juan Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to earlier on this year. You know, Juan Mata extended his contract for the further year. Mata doesn't really get in the team, but Mata did play in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys in midweek. Mata's had a good career at Man United. You know, he's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals. Man United got Juan Mata from Chelsea back in 2014 for 40 million, was it? Mata's been at Man United for around 8 years, so he's been a long-serving player. Other players will be going as well, I think, next year. I think there's a good chance Matic will go. Van der Beek, I think he'll be going. Again, didn't start today, but he come on. Van der Beek's just not getting enough starts at Manchester United. Pogba, he could be going next year. Earlier on today, I give you some news on Pogba, didn't I? It said Ralph Rangnick will not try to persuade Paul Pogba to stay at Manchester United if he wants to go. As you all know, Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to the start of the season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. I think there's a good chance Telles and Delol go next year, like I mentioned earlier on. I think Jones and Bayer going next year because they don't really get in the team. And Dean Henderson's going out on loan because Henderson's already confirmed that he wants a loan move away from Man United. He might as well, because he doesn't really get in goal now, because revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back. Henderson was in goal for the 1-1 draw against Young Boys midweek, but that was only his second appearance of the season. Revert back to earlier on this season, Henderson had COVID for a while. Towards the end of last season, though, Henderson got that number 1 jersey, if you do remember rightly, and he did well last season, to his credit. So there you go. In the next video, I'll be giving you the player ratings from this game, and tomorrow your Brentford Manchester United preview will be coming up. So anyway guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very soon. And my channel name is Red Devil 24 if you do want to subscribe.